Hello everyone, today I am going to show you how we can implement Spring Batch into Spring Boot application, and here we will use reader, writer, processor. So with the help of reader, we will read all the data from CSV file, and with the help of processor, we can modify or transform our data, and with the help of writer, we will write all the data inside database on the basis of chunks. And we will also use listener. So with the help of listener, we can perform any type of action before and after the job, and at the end we will also create an endpoint. So with the help of that endpoint we will trigger our job. So let's start.
Open any browser in your laptop and then write Spring Initializer to create new Spring Boot application, and select this first option. So you will be redirected here, and then you have to select Maven, Java and version, and you have to provide some basic details of this project like group, artifact name, description, package name. Okay, and you have to select packaging like jar, and you will also have to select Java version. And after that we will have to add some dependencies. So first dependency I am going to use Spring Wave for RESTful APIs, and the second dependency I am going to use JPA for data persistence, and the third dependency I am going to use Spring Boot DevTools for hot reloading, and the fourth dependency I am going to use MySQL driver for MySQL connectivity, and the next dependency I am going to use Spring Batch. Okay, because in our project we are going to use batches. So now we have 5 dependencies. So click on this generate to generate our project. Open download directory, and then I am going to extract this project. So right click and extract all, and then extract. So here our project is extracted, and these all are our files. So I am going to cut this project from this directory and place on different directory. You can keep on all on your any directory, okay, according to your need, but I am going to keep these files in D directory, and I am going to open this project inside IntelliJ. So this is our project Spring Batch with DB. So just open this project in IntelliJ, and now expand this src main Java, and I'm going to open this and going to remove these unnecessary spaces. This is not required, but you can remove this. And now so firstly I'm going to show you the CSV file which we are going to read. So this is our CSV file. Just open this. Firstly I'll copy and paste into our project. So just paste inside resources directory. Okay, so this is our CSV file which we are going to read, and this is our name and email. So this is the columns which we are using. Okay, and these are our data. And if you scroll down, then we have around 1 lakhs of data. So we will process this whole data and we will insert into the database on the basis of chunks. And this is our application.properties, and this is our pom.xml file. I am going to show you all the dependencies which we have added. So the first dependency is batches and data JPA, started web, DevTools and MySQL connector. Okay, so these are the dependency which we have added. And now I am going to rename this application.properties to YML, because YML support hierarchical architecture. So just write YML and then refactor. So this is the format of application.properties. So I'm going to copy this name, okay, and I'm going to write on hierarchical architecture. So write spring and then application and then write name and just provide the name of this project. And I'll also write all the configuration related to this project. So firstly I am going to write data source, and inside data source we have to provide URL. So the URL would be JDBC and mySQL colon mySQL, and then again we will write mySQL. So for mySQL you have to download XAMPP software, then you will get XAMPP control panel, okay. So download XAMPP from server and then open this XAMPP control panel, and then you will have to start Apache server and MySQL server. And here you can see MySQL is running on 3306 port, okay. So we will have to provide this port. So close this and then write localhost here and then colon and write the port number of MySQL, so 3306, and here we have to provide the database name. So open new tab and write localhost /phpMyAdmin. So you will be redirected to MySQL phpMyAdmin dashboard. So this is the dashboard, and here you have to click on this new option and then write your database name. So I am going to write our database name as Rose Kharido and click on this create button. Then in the left section you will see Rose Kharido database is created. Now I am going to mention this database here, and after that we will have to provide username and password. So by default username is root of XAMPP server, MySQL XAMPP server. So and the password is blank. If you have any password, then you can enter your password here. Similarly I am going to use JPA here, and inside JPA we have to provide Hibernate. And inside Hibernate we have to use DDL auto, and we will provide update. Suppose any tables is already available into the database, and on new run we don't want to create same table again and again, so that's why we are using update. So it will update on next time, it won't create new table. And here we will use show SQL as true because we want to show all the queries that is going to execute. And after that we will use batch. So we will provide batch configuration here. So inside batch we have to provide JDBC and job. So we will use JDBC, and inside JDBC we will have to provide initialize schema. So with this it will create batches related tables, okay. And we will provide always here, so it will create tables related to batches here, okay, inside this database. And after this we will use job, and here I am going to write enabled false. If you write true then the job will automatically execute. If you write false, then you will have to create a separate and manual endpoint to trigger this job. So I am writing as false because I'll create manual endpoint to trigger the job, okay. So these all are our configurations. We have created data source, JPA, batch, and this is our CSV file, and these are our columns, and now I am going to create a package. So just click on package and we will write model. So firstly we will create our model, then create a Java class as user model, and in user CSV you can see two columns are there, name and email. So but before this we will have to annotate with entity because we are going to create table. So just enter and then write table, and then we'll have to provide the table name. So I am going to write as users, so the table name would be users, and inside this class uh, we have two columns, name, email. So firstly I am going to write private long, and I'll provide id, and this id will be the auto increment, and this will be the primary key. So I am just importing this id from this persistent. Okay, and then write at the rate generative value strategy equals to generative value dot identity. So this will be the primary key of this table. And now we will take two more variables. So private string name, and again I am going to create this more variable that is email, and click alt plus enter, alt plus insert. So you will see this pop up, and then select getter and setter. So I am going to create getter and setter of this name and email variable. Okay, so just cut this and paste here to organize this code. So we have created two variable, name and email, because we have two columns, name and email, in user.csv file. Okay, so our model class is completed. So similarly I am going to create one more package, and this package would be the reader package. So firstly I am going to create reader to read all the files from CSV file. So create one Java class, and here we will write user reader, and I'll annotate with at the rate component here, and inside this reader we will take one bean. Okay, we will create one bean, so annotate with at the rate bean here, and then write public, and this function, this bean will be the type of FlatFileItemReader, and here we will pass our model. Okay, this model. So write user model, and the name would be reader, and inside that we will have to initialize and declare FlatFileItemReader. So pass the type as user model, and then write reader. Okay, this is the return. Okay, and new FlatFileItemReader. So here we are initializing and declaring this FlatFileItemReader. So firstly I am going to read this user.csv file. So write reader.set resources, and here we need to pass a new class path resources, and with the help of class path resources we can read that users.csv file. Okay, and now our next step is to skip the first row. So write reader.set lines to skip, and we have to provide one here. So this will skip our first row, and as we know that the first row is name and email, so we will skip this row and we will read all the below data. Okay, so that's why I am using one here, and here we will use a default line mapper, and this will be the type of user model, and then write line mapper. So we will have to initialize and declare this default line mapper, and inside line mapper it support two things. So for field set mapper and line tokenizer, Okay, so we will have to provide these both things inside line mapper. So firstly I am going to create tokenizer. So write default tokenizer here, and then write tokenizer. Just initialize and declare this tokenizer, and in this tokenizer we have one method that is set names. So we can provide our columns names inside this set names. Okay, and the column name we have name and email. So if you go here in user.csv, then you can see this is the column name and email. So I am going to provide this name and email here. On the basis of comma, it will tokenize all the columns. Okay, so that's why we are using this set names here. So this is our tokenizer. Our next step is to write bean wrapper field set mapper. So with the help of this we will map all the tokenized value on the basis of user model. Okay, so just initialize and declare this bean wrapper field set mapper here. And then we will use field set mapper dot set target type, and inside this we have to provide our model class which we are going to compare. Okay, so just pass user model dot class. So on the basis of user model class it will map all the tokens which we are getting from the user.csv on the basis of comma. Okay, so now we have a tokenizer and field set mapper. So we have to pass these both inside line mapper. So write set line tokenizer and pass our tokenizer here, and again I'll use set field set mapper and pass our field set mapper here. And now we are going to pass this line mapper inside reader. Okay, so we will have to provide this inside reader dot set line mapper, and then pass this line mapper. And as you know that return type is FlatFileItemReader, so we will return this reader here. Okay, so our reader code is completed. So firstly we have created FlatFileItemReader, then we have created default line mapper, then we have created tokenizer, then we have created field set mapper, and we have added tokenizer and field set mapper inside line mapper, and also we are using this line mapper inside this reader, and we are just returning this reader. Okay, so just close this. Also I am going to close this and create one more package. So this will be the processor. So as you know that processor is used to modify data, so I am going to create one Java class that would be user processor, and then I am going to implement with item processor, and it will take two parameter. So we have to pass user model here, and after comma again we will pass this user model, and then we will have to implement, and then we will have to override one method. Okay, so just click on this implement method, and this is the method. Click on OK. Okay, so this is the method we'll have to override. So change this item to user, and if you want to modify any field, then we can modify here. And then return this user. Suppose in name I am going to modify something. Write user dot set name, and in the name just I am going to pass processed name. Okay, so all name will be changed to processed name. while saving into the database. So our user processor code is also completed. Again I am going to create one more new package, and this will be the writer. So create one Java class of this writer, write user writer, and then annotate with @component. And here also I am going to annotate with @component in user process. Okay, similarly in user writer, okay, similarly in user writer just annotate with @component, and in the user writer we will create one bean, and here we will write public JPA item writer we will use here, because we are going to insert the data into the MySQL database and we are using JPA. So pass this user model and then writer, and now we will have to initialize and declare this JPA writer. And here we will have to inject entity manager factory, so it will automatically save the data into the database. Then we will use writer dot first initialize and declare this JPA writer, pass this user model, then we will use this writer, and as you know that the return type is JPA writer. So firstly I am going to write writer dot set entity manager factory, and we will have to provide this entity manager factory which we have injected. Now we will have to return this writer because the return type is JPA writer. So this will save the data into the database, and now I am going to close this, and again I am going to create one more package, that would be listener. So write user listener, create one Java class and write user listener, and then implement with, so firstly I am going to annotate with @component and implement with job execution listener. So job execution listener provides two methods, before job and after job. There are multiple listeners, you can use any, but I am using now job execution listener, so it will provide two methods, before job and after job. If you want to execute any action or perform any type of action before job and after job, then you can perform on the basis of these two functions. Okay, so firstly I am going to override first method, so that is public void before step, and inside this before step as a parameter we have to pass job execution, and I am going to write a log here. You can show any type of logs, or you can perform any type of action before a job. So I am going to show one log. Here we can show the job name, so just write job name, and we will get the job name from this execution. So write execution dot get job instance dot get job name. So with this way we will get the job name, and again I am going to copy this and just paste here, and here I am going to change this before to after. Okay, and here we will show job status after job. So write get status to get the status of this job. So our listener is also completed. We have implemented job execution, and we have overridden this before job and after job method. Now just close this class, and again I am going to create one more package, that would be a config. Okay, so we will create a pipeline of reader, writer and listener. So create one Java class here, that would be configuration class, and the class name would be batch config. So annotate with @configuration. Here we will create a pipeline of reader, processor, writer. So these will execute in a sequence. So that's why we are creating this pipeline. So here annotate with @configuration. And here we need to use two things. First one is the job repository, and the second one is the platform transaction manager. So firstly I am going to use private job repository. And job repository basically used to manage jobs and steps both. Okay, and the second one is the platform transaction manager. So platform transaction manager basically used for callback and commits, rollback and commits. Okay, so that's why we generally use for platform transaction manager. So now we will create one bean, and the first bean would be the step bean. So write public step, and then we have to, so first import this step from this library, batch core library, and then write the step name like user step. And here we need to pass three things: reader, processor and writer. So the reader is FlatFileItemReader, and here we have to pass our model name. Okay, and now we have to pass our user processor. So this is our processor. And here we need to pass our user writer. So our writer is JdbcBatchItemWriter, and the type is user model. So pass JdbcBatchItemWriter. So three things we have to use here in step. And now we will return this step. So write return new step builder. So step builder will take two things. First is the step name, and the second is the job repository. So user step is the step name. Okay, you can define any name here, and the second parameter would be the job repository, which will manage step and jobs. Okay, so just pass this job repository here, and then we will use a chunk here. So write dot, and then we have to provide our model class, that is user model comma user model, and then we will write chunk here, and inside this we have to provide completion policy, new simple completion policy, and inside this we have to provide the chunk size, which we are going to create chunk and going to insert the data into the DB. And in the second parameter we have to provide this transaction manager. So as we know that it will manage rollbacks and commits, and here we have to provide reader, and just pass this reader, and then processor, and similarly I am going to pass this writer. And after that we will write dot build. So we have created a pipeline of reader, processor, writer with the help of this user step. So our next step is to create one more bean for job. So write @bean, and then here we will write public and then job, and import this job from batch core, and then write the name of this job as user job. And here we have to pass two things. First one is the step, and the second one is the user listener. Okay, so just use this user listener. to track our actions before and after the job. And now here we will return a new job builder, and inside job builder we will have to provide two things like steps. So first one is the job name, okay, and the second one is the job repository. So with the help of this job name we will execute our job, okay. So just pass this job repository and write dot, and we will use incrementer and then new run incrementer. So on every job instance it will create a new unique id, so that's why we are using this dot incrementer, okay. And after that we will use listener and then pass our listener, this listener, okay. And then we will use dot start and just pass our user step, so the user step will be executed here. And then we will use dot build, so our user job bean is also completed, okay. Now I am going to close this, and our next step is to create one more package for controller and create one Java class for controller. So here we will create one manual endpoint to execute our job, so just annotate with @rest controller because this is the user controller. And one more thing I am going to annotate here, that would be @request mapping, and then pass any endpoint here. This is not required, but you can use. And here we will auto wire two things. First one is the job launcher and the second one is the job. So we will use private, and then we have to use job launcher to launch our job, and the second one we are going to auto wire, that would be job. So write private and job, and this will be user job. So use this same job name, okay. So copy this user job from here and then paste here. So this is the job name, okay. And now we will create one get method endpoint, okay. So write any endpoint name and then we will use public, and this method return type would be string because we will show the status. And after that we will have to provide the method name, okay, as start job. And firstly we will create request of our job, so we will use job parameters. These job parameters, and then here we will use a new job parameter builder. This job parameter builder we will use, and here we have to provide one unique id, so on every job it will execute. So write time, and we will use a timestamp, so write system.current time millis, so it will create unique id on every job launch. And here we will use dot job parameters, two job parameters, and after that we will use this job launcher to execute this job. Just write job execution, and here we use job launcher dot run, and this method will take two things. First one is the job name and the second one is the job parameters. So the job name is this user job and the second one is the job parameters. which we have created. So pass these job parameters here, and now we will have to return a string. As you know that return type is string, so just I am going to pass some message that is job status, and we will get the status of the job with the help of this execution. So write execution dot get status, so we will get the status of the job. And in run you can see one exception is showing, so we can use try catch block to resolve this, but I am going to use throws here and write throwable to resolve this issue. So our controller code is also completed. We have successfully created one manual endpoint to trigger our job, and this is our reader. This is our processor. Here we are just modifying all the data, and this is our writer. We are using JdbcBatchItemWriter here to save the data into the database on the basis of chunk. And this is our job and step. Here we are creating a pipeline with the help of reader, processor, writer to execute in a sequence. So that's why we have created this pipeline. And this is our listener, so we are using before job and after job to perform any type of action before and after the job. Okay, so I'm going to close all the tabs and just run this application to check whether it is working or not. And in this database, if you go here, nothing, no tables are there. Okay, so just hit this play button to run this application. So in right side you can see our application is running on 8080 port. Okay, and just open this controller to check what is the endpoint. So firstly we'll have to provide batch and then start job. Okay, so open new tab and then write localhost API localhost and then batch and then write start job. Okay, this is the endpoint. Now I am going to hit enter. So here you can see nothing is happening. What is the issue? Okay, actually I didn't change the port number. The port number is 8080, and now I am going to execute this job. So here you will see our data is inserting into the database continuously, and our batch is working successfully. If you go here again, I am going to show you. Okay, if you refresh this database, then you will be able to see multiple tables added related to batches and one more table that is users added here. If you go here inside this users, then continuously multiple data is inserting and our batch is processing. If you go here and click on some different page number, then you will be redirected here and you can see continuously inserting the data here. Okay, and in the name section you can see all names are processed name, and here you can see our job is completed, status is completed. Now just minimize this and open this user processor, and every name is a processed name. Why? Because we are just modifying the name inside processor. Okay, so here you can see all names are processed name. So I'm going to clear this user table first. So click on this empty, and now if you go here inside this table, then no data available. Okay, just stop running this application and comment this line, and now I'm going to execute this application again. Now you will get real names on name column. Okay, because we are not modifying our name inside processor. Just execute this application again. Okay, and then open IntelliJ, and here you can see all the data is inserting continuously, and then refresh this table, so you will be able to see all different names here because we are not modifying any name here on processor. Okay, and our batch is working successfully. Continuously our data is inserting, you can see. And now our job is completed and the status is completed. Okay,